Yeah, I'm with her. What does that mean?
So so for me,
Teach me.
a creative block. Let's talk about okay, we hear this statement all the time in art, especially today with all the reels and all the kind of stuff. I think it's one of those sounds that you can get. And it says that the only thing an artist needs is the desire to create, and everything will come from that. So, if all I need to do is create, the act of me grabbing a pen and drawing something, that is me being creative. So how can that be blocked? If I have the true desire to create, how can that actually get blocked? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
for me, when I hear people say, I have writer's block, I have a creative block, I have this and that, it's more than just the act of writing. It's something within, something emotional, something I need to get out and express. Like for writer's block, sometimes writers aren't capable of finishing a book. But what is that? Is it because they've lost their creativity? No, they're worried about what the audience is going to think. They're not trusting themselves anymore in that moment to finish that book. So they're trying to figure out other things and trying to appease other people. Or some creatives that they get emotional about something in their regular life, and they're so consumed by those emotions, regardless if they're aware of it or not, that's keeping them from doing the thing that they want to do the most. Does that make sense? So if we can get past our emotional blocks, we can get back to creating. So if you look at it as you have a creative block, that doesn't really make sense to me. You have an emotional block.
But I feel like the reason why it doesn't make sense to you, and I spent some time thinking about this, is because you don't create from an emotional space, whereas this young lady may have.
Oh, but
your creativity comes from your dreams, where you, right? I mean,
sometimes.
if I'm understanding you.
Yeah. No, sometimes.
Or if I know you.
Yes.
You know.
But I create mostly because I need it for my emotional state. You get what I'm saying?
Right, but the source of your creativity
The source
isn't from emotion.
The source of my creativity.
So however you feel emotionally doesn't affect your creativity.
No, but it does. So creativity, when you dream, yes, sometimes my creativity, the things that I come up with come from dreams. But sometimes they come from a mood that I'm in. Sometimes if I'm feeling some type of way, like art has been so much for me throughout my life.
Right.
And escape from my suicidal times and creating pieces, expressing suicidal tendencies, to creating pieces when I'm using alcohol to compensate from the emptiness I'm feeling on the inside. And I'm literally creating pieces at that time period of my life, expressing all the feelings that I'm feeling at that time period to help me get through those times. Like right now, I'm chilling, I'm not in my head, I'm not in my space. Now, if something goes on at home, let's say Bree's upset with me or I did something stupid, whatever, then I might get into a space where I just want to cower, chill, whatever, even though I need to work through this emotions, but my emotional state has created a blockage for me to continue to create, which is essentially what's going to help me get over what I'm dealing with. It's going to be my outlet. So, does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I guess I feel like, I guess what I think with Homegirl, I mean, you saying, okay, she doesn't have a creative blockage, or creatives don't have creative blockages. It's emotional blockages. Again, I understand, but when you are a creative and your emotions are the fuel for your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
If you are going, if emotionally you have something, if you're in an emotional conundrum, then it is going to be tough for you to create through that, right? I'm just assuming, or you know, some artists, you know, they almost have to go through something in order to tap into that creative space because they are emotional creatives.
I totally get that.
So for her, she might be an emotional creative.
That's possible. So how does she get over that?
She has to work through the emotion. So where you're at, and this is what you've taught me, or help bring to what you taught me, help bring to light is working, feeling, and still working. But
Yeah.
But there has to be some sort of level of detachment.
Then it has to be, yes. So, and I think another thing she was asking me was,
Well, I'm asking, I guess I should
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
you, do you feel like there has to be a level of detachment first in order for you to do that? A level of attachment, like the emotion, you have to be able to, you know, emotionally detached from whatever it is that has you in that feeling so that you can work and feel at the same time.
I don't think that there has to be a separation or a detachment. I think that, okay, I'm feeling some type of way. Sometimes we don't even know what's causing us to feel this type of way, but we know that something's going on with us. Example is with her, she was like, I feel like I'm dealing with my emotional things that have been keeping me, that has had her down. You get what I'm saying? She feels like she's dealing with those things, so why is she still blocked? Clearly she might be dealing with those things, she might be acknowledging those things, but she's not actively doing the thing that relaxes her body. Art is meditation, right? We talked about this. Art is meditation. If I'm not an artist, but I'm a person of high anxiety, and I start feeling my anxiety come, if I don't immediately stop and take a break and start focusing on my breath, I'm gonna have a full-blown episode, right?
Yeah.
However, if I'm having a full-blown episode, I'm aware I'm having an episode, I'm stuck in a corner, but I'm so far gone, I'm allowing myself to not breathe. Now I'm holding my breath, right? The only way to get out of that episode is either exhaust yourself so much that you just fall asleep, or you start actually focusing on your breath, and then slowly you breathe, then your muscles relax, then you can actually cognitively, or not logically, think about what's going on and why you were gone through this process. It's the same concept. A writer's block, a creative block, is them having that big anxiety attack, but they're waiting for it to just make them fall asleep. Which, and when it comes to emotions and triggers and micro triggers, that could take months and years. And at that period of time, we're already sticking ourselves into the abyss of depression and all these aspects. However, if I know that I'm in a mood, but I go ahead and start doing my breathing exercises in a creative space, in a creative's world, that is me coming to canvas and starting to draw and sketch and paint, or a writer just starting to write, regardless on what the fuck they're writing. All you're wanting to do is focus on your breath.
That takes a level of awareness though, bro.
It takes a level of awareness, and that's why we're doing this video, to answer that question. Because, I mean, with her, I literally just told her, she asked, how do I get out of creative block? And I'm like, you don't have a creative block, you have an emotional block, and I left her that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's
So that's
not
why.
even aware.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why we're creating this right here, to bring a level of awareness. But, again, this is an Ola theory. You know what I mean? This is an Ola theory and an Ola mindset of me believing that, I, like, my own personal truths. And this is a truth for me, and it's a truth that I've seen in other people that I've spoken to about things like that. And when they would start to work through their own personal issues that weren't artists, but people of anxiety, go ahead and start taking that breath. If you're in a stressful situation at work and you're starting to feel that anxiety come on, go ahead and say, hey, I'm gonna go for a walk. You know what I mean? And then focus on your breath, come back down, collect your thoughts, get your composure back, and then go back into the stress, go back into the societal BS or whatever is causing you to have triggers. But if you ignore those things, you're gonna blow up. You're gonna eventually get that emotional block.
So what do you want to tell homies?
So how do we get out of the emotional block when we are there?
Well, she doesn't even. Well, first of all, so when you said that, what was her question?
Her question essentially was, how do I get out the emotional block? If it is emotional block, you said there's no such thing as creative block. How do I get out of this emotional block if I already believe that I'm working on my emotions? So my answer to that is, okay, you're creative. Your way to meditate is by creating. But you're in your feelings, you're in your emotions, you're going through some things, and those things are keeping you from actually doing or thinking creatively to create something brand new or to express what you're going through. So for me, it is just grab your paper and go back to the fundamentals. Start off with a circle, shade that circle, turn it into a basketball, turn it into something else, and just work. As your hands are starting to do what your hands do.
Activate the talent.
Activate
the talent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Activate
Yeah.
your meditation. It's like literally it's taking that first slow down breath, holding it, and then releasing. You get what I'm saying? It's the same as that concept. Once my hands start activating that, my emotions start loosening up. That blockage starts going away because now I'm doing the things that actually releases those. You get what I'm saying?
Well,
so a lot of people, the writers block, the musicians that I know that are having writer's block, whatever, they can't get to finish that song, that track. Stop focusing on that song or track. Go back to playing.
Hey Little Fiddle.
Yeah, just go back.
Chopsticks.
Yeah, just go back to something simple. Get your body going. It's like warming up before exercise, before a game. It's the same concept. Warm your creativity up by doing the old school thing. Grab a piece of paper. If you're really angry, like literally go and grab a palette knife and some random paint. Don't try to paint anything because you're already stressed, and just allow yourself to be in motion. Once you get through that motion, that's why Jackson Pollock is his artwork is way more interesting to watch him in the action of creating and then seeing the actual just splattered paint, because he's using his entire body and moving and throwing the paint, and the paint splatters and then it goes boom and comes back, it hits him, and it's a whole process of movement and emotional, like if he's angry, expression. So the act of just starting is allowing you to start expressing. The act of just starting is allowing you to start expressing, which eventually you'll get into a relaxed motion, to therefore you will be able to express that emotion that is blocking you from creating. And then once that's done, then you're back in your grind and you're creating already. Then that blockage is gone. Does that make sense?
Bro, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and that is my whole mindset. And the reason why it is my mindset is because I've lived it.
Or you are living it.
And I'm still living it, yeah. But when I was young, once that teacher forced me, my teacher Kathleen Blake, she was like, we're gonna do an area concentration, and I couldn't choose any other random subjects except for myself, my story, my passions, my dislikes, my traumas, all that. Once I became and started doing that, and I learned, I literally changed in that moment. And then years later, I went to school, did the whole thing, track, graduated, then I went back and joined the workforce and did all that. Eventually I went back into that same depressive state of mind, but what wasn't I doing anymore?
Creating.
I wasn't creating. I don't know what I'm gonna paint. I've done my whole life story up until the point where I was like 20, and my life continued after that. It's not just about expressing myself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
How do I continue to keep myself out of this emotional state of mind of sadness, depression, anger, frustrating, and this woe is me constantly? I have to continue to meditate. I have to continue to create no matter what. You get what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
within me creating, there's sometimes that you'll see me painting in the studio, there's no music on, there's no nothing on, but I'm working. And I might not be working on something that is emotional baggage for me, but I might be working on a dress because I think it's beautiful, but I'm still working through my day. I'm still working through what I stupidly got upset about, what I did this. It is still active expression, all while I'm still in my personal version of meditation. You get what I'm saying? And then sometimes, like I've expressed with you, I'm off in the distance watching myself paint, talking to myself about what I'm doing painting, but also what's going on in my world right now. How I'm like dealing and listening to the book that I've read and contemplating that book that I just finished reading about the Stoics or something like that. You know, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what she basically needs to do is just, like you said, get to the basics and utilize her creativity, you know, as a therapy tool, which she probably does to some degree, but probably she just needs to continue digging deeper.
100%. Just
You know what I'm
start.
saying? It's just what it boils
Yeah.
down to. Start and then just keep just keep digging deeper.
Don't overthink what it is that you're doing because you think you're
From the emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
My fault.
And then in the art standpoint, when you're trying to get out of that blockage, don't come in trying to create another fucking masterpiece. Come in and go back and fine tune something. Go back and do something that you've done over and over again. Like I literally, every time a kid comes in here and they've been painting for a while and they want to go back to drawing, and when I say a kid, I just mean anybody that is in the beginning stages of art. I bring them back to the same exact thing, gradient scale with the pencil, where you go from dark to white, and we do that for an hour. But it's act of getting your body back acclimated to understanding the different shades. So if you are a pencil person and you're going through a creative block, go and start there. And then turn that shade into something else, and then eventually you'll start digging and creating and seeing, and you'll come up with something that's actually helping you get through what you're going through that you may not even be aware of.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, meditation. I mean, we know people who do things like shrooms and ayahuasca. Is that what's that word? Ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca. But what does that do for them? What in the moment of ayahuasca? I've only read one book that somebody did it, but it literally made them essentially talk to themselves.
Yeah, go deep.
And go deep.
Yeah, go deep.
And go deeper. And
Yeah.
go deeper.
Yeah,
And
as deep as you
essentially,
can, like.
exactly. And I'm saying by starting,
Yeah.
you can go deeper with yourself and your emotions. So don't worry about what you're actually creating. Just go. And then eventually you'll go deep. And then you'll end up finding the root of what's causing your issues today. And then you'll work it out. You'll acknowledge it and you'll work it out. And then you'll be back on your peachy road, on your creative journey.
Well, I hope she got something out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good though. Yeah, that was good. That was good because, like I said, when I was thinking about you, and I was like, well, shoot, Omar doesn't really create from emotional stuff. Like you just create. Like I think now you have just hardwired yourself that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I understand the necessity of it for me to be who I am. It is who I am.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, I could see where she would even, where she even asked, well, what does that even mean? Because you're saying, well, you're not having a creative blockage, you have an emotion, and she probably didn't even connect the two, the way that you do, or the way that you don't. I think that's essentially, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hot.
No, I mean, it's facts. I think I connect everything in my life to art.
You do.
Like I 100% do.
Yeah.
But I also believe that everybody in this world is a creative. And I also
Me
believe
too.
that we're all meant to create. And I believe that each individual creating something can work out all the problems that the world is running into.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Or create them.
Create, yeah.
Or create the problem.
Or create the problems, yeah.
yeah.
But we're all creators, so therefore, if creating it's not just an outlet, it's a way of life. We all, from the moment,
What's that?
it's a way of life.
No, what's that?
Yeah.
what's that?
Creating is everything. If you can learn to be a creative, you can get everything out of this world that you want.
You can learn to be a creative.
You can get, because literally, with a blank canvas, I create whatever the fuck I want to. With give me clay, I create whatever the fuck I want to. You give me my life,
Mm-hmm.
I direct the paths that I choose to go. Every day can be a blank canvas, but if you choose not to start, or if you choose to start in the woe of yesterday, you're gonna be in the woe today.
And then it's not a blank canvas.
And then it's not a blank canvas.
It's
just
whatever it is that it was.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mhm. But if you don't even know what was causing you to be in the woe, and then you go ahead and start,
It'll come around.
it'll come around,
Yeah.
and then you'll move past it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Which brings you back to when we was kind of having this talk. As far as just memory, I guess as far as just remembering the period. I know for me, I forget everything, bro.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to practice that. Okay, well, and trying to remember as I forget things, I guess. I just remember things around it,
Yeah.
and then I'll eventually circle back
Yeah.
to it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now I'm almost counting like the almost like the pebbles, the steps
Yeah.
in between.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And essentially, exactly what you just said is exactly my explanation.
Right, exactly.
Just in
yeah.
a different light.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Yours is having to do with memory, and essentially mine is having to do with memory,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
emotional memory,
Mhm.
in order to get to where you want.
To get to where you are.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
creating a different path.
Yeah.
You can't find that thing, but you're creating a different path to get to it.
Man.
Which, how much of life is that? How much of life is that? All of it.
Yeah, all of it.
There's never a straight road to what you want. There sometimes is, but you're gonna run into many obstacles that you have to hurdle, go over, under, you know, break away. Yep. It's the same concept of what Wesley's going through. What is on the other side of that brick wall? What is on the other side? You made it to the wall, but now what's on the other side?
It's funny how we all innately have that same fear.
We
At
all.
some point.
Mm-hmm.
At some point.
Yeah.
I don't care who you
Who you
are, where you come from,
Mm-hmm.
what you believe in, not
Mhm.
believe in. Everybody hits that, you know, that
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
It may look different from
Yeah.
you to me or whomever, but
And that just reminded me of what Steve said when he was it you that was with me and Steve.
What was this?
I think we went to the mailroom, and he was like, you know, there's one thing that in all of his travels, everywhere that he's gone, that everybody has in common. He said he's been all over the world. He said he sits at the dinner table, everybody has the same thing in common. I want to keep my family safe, and I want to feed them and have a place for them to live.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We all, no matter where our backgrounds are from, we all end up believing and doing the same thing. Just like you said yesterday, it's all about survival.
Yeah, I feel. Oh, as far as
What we talked about yesterday.
yeah.
Different episode.
Yeah.
Episode.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel that way. But yeah. Emotional blockage. So yeah, baby girl. The wise words of Ola, just dig deeper. Just dig deeper.
Just,
dig deeper and keep pace.
just start.
Yeah, start.
Just start.
What is she? What type of creative is she? A writer?
You know, it's a
Like-
good question. I think she paints.
She
I'm
paints?
pretty sure she paints. Yeah.
Okay, so for her, something very fundamental that she can
Yeah,
just do
yeah.
or refine.
just start there.
Yep.
Like you said, don't try to create your new creation. Just find something,
yeah.
or just do something, and then that muscle memory, that the practice,
Yep.
the application.
Will bring it all back to
Yeah.
and within that, once that emotional blockage is gone from opening yourselves back up to creating, then you will easily be able to go back and start pinpointing what that emotional blockage was and why. But if you never start taking that breath, you'll never get there.